Peter Murrell, the former chief executive of the Scottish National Party, has been sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison. You heard the judge, Lord Young, there say it will be backdated to the 25th of May, which is when he was first remanded in custody, having admitting to embezzling more than £400,000 from the party and using it to purchase a range of goods. Before we heard from the judge, we heard his defence lawyer set out his submission, which included a certain amount of mitigation, and some notable aspects of that included that he recognised, Peter Murrell, that he behaved dishonestly, the impact of that on not only himself but broader society, and he is one that expresses guilt and remorse, and that he has been overwhelmed by feelings of embarrassment and shame, so much so that he has been withdrawn from social contexts prior to his guilty plea. So he has been sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison. The judge noting that it would have been a 7-year sentence had a trial gone ahead, but because Peter Murrell pleaded guilty in a preliminary stage of this case, something that the judge said saved the judicial system time and resource, essentially, that was a sentence reduced to 5 years and 3 months. The judge also went through some of the factors that had been heard in the narrative hearing of this case, something that happened at the beginning of June. So that was when the range of his offending was set out. A narrative was agreed between the prosecution and the defence in court, and the judge reiterating that this was offending that increased in amount and frequency over the 12-year period between 2010 and 2022, but also noting that he was and is a first-time offender. Listening to what the judge just had to say is our Scotland correspondent Katie Hunter, who's outside the High Court in Edinburgh. 5 years and 3 months, Katie, but what stood out to you the most?
Well, there was quite a lot in there, Ria, wasn't there? If we start with Murrell's defence, he fully complied with the Criminal Justice Social Work report. He cooperated fully and candidly, according to his lawyer. He acknowledged that he was facing a custodial sentence, and he acknowledged that throughout the period he had behaved dishonestly, and his lawyer said that he recognises the harm caused to those directly affected and kind of wider society. He accepted full responsibility, and that he was overwhelmed by embarrassment and shame. And his lawyer said that he had been living almost in total isolation at points that was of detriment to his health. But he does, and this was a theme we kept coming back to, recognise that he was entirely to blame. In terms of what stood out, I think there in the judge's comments, the judge said that it was difficult to get a clear picture of what drove his offending, what drove his actions. I was saying earlier that during the narrative we heard very much about how Peter Murrell committed these crimes, but we didn't really get much of a picture of why, or we didn't know at all why he had committed these crimes. And the judge made the point there that many of the high value items that Murrell used SNP money to buy, that they weren't even used. And the judge saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he couldn't identify any mitigating factors that caused him to offend. There was also, the judge pointed to the fact that the public coverage around this case would make any future employment difficult, if not impossible. But he was, of course, given some credit for that early guilty plea that avoided a lengthy and a complex trial. But he has been sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison, so a significant prison sentence for the man who was once chief executive of Scotland's largest political party.
Yes, and let's take you through and show you a reminder of some of the goods that he admitted to using parties' money to purchase. The judge saying there were a large number of fraudulent acts over the 12-year period, a motorhome being one of the most notable purchases, but there were other range from jewellery as well to cosmetics, pens, that you can see on your screen, and you can see the range of goods, because money was also used, as well as some of the goods you're seeing on your screen, to cover the likes of parking tickets. And as Katie was saying, we heard in the narrative hearing the how he got away with doing it. And that is also something the judge acknowledged, which was through raising fake invoices. He was the person of authority. He had control of the party's accounts, and he was also giving false information to staff in the party when it came to submitting information into the party's accounts details. Katie, the judge also said that he wanted this sentence to act as a deterrent to others. What did you make of that?
Well, that was interesting and not unexpected, to be honest, Ria, because embezzlement, as I said before the sentencing, isn't just about stealing money, taking money, using money that isn't yours. It's about being in that position of trust. And the judge said that he wanted this to act as a deterrent to others who may be in a similar position. And Peter Murrell was in a huge position of trust. He had access to the SNP's main bank account. That was full of money from donors, from party donations. And as you said, he abused that position of trust via a variety of means. He used direct bank transfers. He had an SNP charge card. He submitted false expense claims that he hadn't even incurred expenditure for. And Lord Young there, the judge, making it clear that he does want that sentence to act as a deterrent, and 5 years and 3 months is a lengthy sentence, although worth saying that if Peter Murrell behaves well in prison, that he will not serve that full sentence. He will get out earlier than that 5 years and 3 months.
We're just seeing on your screens as well the moment that Peter Murrell entered the court in the last hour or so. We can now also show to you, it's been released by the police, one of the interview moments after Peter Murrell was arrested. I'll explain to you if you can't properly hear what is happening, but have a listen.
Of that amount, over £19,000 is exclusively of pens alone. It's quite frankly an outrageous amount of money to be spending on pens, in my opinion. What about your opinion? You bought them. You must have an opinion on them, Peter. What does SNP need over £19,000 of luxury pens for?
And basically what you could hear there was the police saying that it was an outrageous amount of money to be spending on pens. Katie, how has the public been reacting to this case?
Well, Priya, there has been a huge amount of public interest in this case. To use the jargon, you know, this is politics, this is crime that has cut through to the public. People have been talking widely about it. And it isn't uncommon, the clip you played there for the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service, that's Scotland's prosecution service, to release what we call productions at the end of the trial. So perhaps clips of police interviews and photographs. And there have been many, many images of the goods that Murrell bought using stolen SNP funds. We expect to be showing more productions from the Crown Office today, and again I guess that will act as a deterrent, and that was what the judge mentioned in his sentencing remarks, that
Absolutely.
he wanted to send a signal to others in a similar position.
Katie Hunter, thank you. You can watch more on iPlayer.